Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I'll be showing you how I created these very modern inspired Christmas decorations using all items from the Dollar Tree. But before we get started, if you're not subscribed yet, I would love to have you subscribe. And I want to thank all of our new subscribers and a very special subscriber, Chloe. Thank you so much for watching all of my videos and always commenting. So to get started, we're going to be creating these black and white candle holders. So for this, I'm going to be using two of the larger vases from the Dollar Tree and two of their glass candle holders. I'm going to start off by spray painting those glass candle holders with this semi-gloss black spray paint. It was still a little bit too glossy for me though, so I did go over it with some matte clear coat when it was all done. So here they are. And now we're just going to be attaching these to our glass vases with some E6000 glue and some hot glue. You can just use the E6000 if you want, but I like doing the combination of E6000, which gives it a really permanent hold, with a little bit of hot glue to kind of just hold it in place while I'm waiting for that E6000 to completely dry overnight. When you're attaching it, you just want to make sure that you're getting it in the very center. So to do this, I kind of just peered down the vase and made sure I was lining it up correctly and just held it in place for a few seconds until it was attached. After letting my vases dry for a few hours, I am now going to start decorating them. So for this, I'm going to be using this white berry garland that I got at the Dollar Tree. To attach them, I'm just going to be putting a little bit of hot glue on the base of my vase, and I'm going to be taking the start of that garland and just holding it in place until it fully dries, and then I'm just going to start wrapping around that entire garland, and when I reach the end, I'm just going to be securing it down with some more hot glue. And I'm just going to repeat that same process for my second vase. And here's the candle holders all done. I love these. I think they look so elegant and gorgeous. And I just have some flameless candles in here, but you could use these with some real candles or even some flowers for display on your table. I just think that they are so beautiful for only a few dollars. Next up is this modern snowflake art print. So for this, I picked up one of these frames from the Dollar Tree, and I'm just going to start off by removing everything. We're not going to be needing that inside portion or the glass for this craft. The only thing I will be using is the back cardboard because I do need this to trace a template. I also picked up one of these black foam boards from the Dollar Tree, and this is what I will be tracing on today. So I'm just going to line up that cardboard insert and just trace around it with a pencil and then use a craft knife to cut it out. And now you just want to make sure that that is going to be fitting into that frame. So this is all we're going to be using. We're just going to secure that back in there. And now I'm going to move on to my snowflakes. So I'm going to be using these wood snowflakes from the Dollar Tree, and I'm just going to be painting them with this white acrylic paint just on one side. Now I'm just going to let those dry, and I'm going to move on to this ribbon. So I got this candy cane ribbon from the Dollar Tree, and I'm just going to line it up. I want it to be long enough to run the full length of the board, and then a little bit extra on each side because I'm going to be tucking those two ends on the other side of the board and hot gluing them down. So I'm just going to use a little bit of hot glue to secure that first end, and then once that dries, I'm just going to be making sure that that ribbon is fully centered by pulling it down nice and taut, and then I'm just going to be gluing down that other side. And now I'm just going to be putting that board back into our frame and just securing down those tabs. Now that my snowflakes are dry, I'm just going to be hot gluing them down. So I'm going to be gluing my center one first, that way I can get the alignment correct. So just put a little bit of hot glue on. And the other thing I wanted to mention was that these wood ornaments have a little drilled hole in the top of them, so you can string them, but since we're going to be using them for this, we're going to cover those up later. But just make sure that all 3 of those holes are facing up. Now for the last step, I just used that same candy cane ribbon and I made 3 little bows, and I'm just going to be hot gluing them on the top of each snowflake to cover up that hole. And here it is, all finished, and I really love how simple it looks but really elegant, and that candy cane ribbon really has a chance to pop. And I just have it styled here next to my candy cane vase, and I actually DIY'd this as well, so I'll be sure to link that video down below if you want to check that out. And the last DIY I have are these marbled trees. So for this, we're going to start off by making a template. So I'm just folding a piece of paper lengthwise down the center, and I'm going to be making half of a tree on that folded side. So you'll see here I just did some really simple lines. You can get creative here if you want, but I wanted to keep it pretty simple to keep it with that whole modern appearance. So here is my finished tree. And now I'm going to be using this piece of poster board that I got at the Dollar Tree. So this is just a little scrap I have here, but it needs to be big enough to be able to cut out 2 of these trees. And the other thing I'm going to be using is some contact paper. So this marble contact paper I actually already had on hand, but I have used the Dollar Tree's contact paper. So here is a wood one that I made with some Dollar Tree contact paper. And they do have marbled contact paper at the Dollar Tree. So check out your local Dollar Tree because they really do have a wonderful selection of all different types of contact paper. So here you'll see that I'm just measuring out my contact paper because I need it to fit that piece of poster board. So I'm just cutting kind of like a rough size here, and then I'm going to be trimming off those extras. You want to try and get it as close to the poster board size as possible just to make it easier when you're transferring it. So this craft is super easy, but this is the trickiest part, getting that contact paper on the poster board without getting wrinkles. So I found the easiest way to do this is just peel a little bit of that backing off the paper first and lay it down, and then just slowly take your time and roll it off. That way you don't get a lot of creases or a lot of bubbles. Then I just went ahead and covered that second side because we need both sides covered for this craft. And now I'm just going to be tracing out my 2 trees on my marbled poster board. So you'll see here, I'm just going to kind of cut it in half just to make it a little bit easier to cut out that tree. Now you could tape this tree down just for the time being to trace it out. I kind of just freehanded it, but here are my 2 trees here. And now we're just going to start measuring. So you're going to want to measure the base of your tree and just mark off where the center is. So depending on how big your tree is, you'll just have to measure the center. And then I'm just going to be measuring my tree vertically and marking off the center point here. So we're going to be cutting some slits into the tree, and we just want to make sure that the 2 are going to line up. So by measuring to the center, this is how we make sure that we get the perfect cut. And now I'm just cutting from that first mark that I made at the base all the way up into that center mark. And now for the second tree, we're going to do the opposite. So we're going to flip it around and we're going to start at the point of our tree and then cut down to that center mark. And now your 2 trees will just be able to slide right into each other and stand up all by itself. And once you make one of these, I promise you, you're going to want to make many more. So here I have 3 all different sizes for my little marble tree forest. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really hope you enjoy these high-end Dollar Tree DIYs. Let me know below in the comments which one was your favorite. And if you're not subscribed, please don't forget to subscribe because I have many more Christmas videos coming up and I do not want you to miss any of them.